You are listening to KZXLP Maryville, and it is currently 9 o'clock, so it is time for the first quarter, your early morning podcast show with Gage Kaler, Michael Bosch, and Cade Ricketts. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Good. Early morning. Ready to talk sports.
Yeah. Well, we had a big movement this weekend in the NBA. Man himself, Kyrie Irving, always looking for attention, it seems like, causing problems where he goes. It seems not ideal to have as a teammate, but hey, he's one of the best players in the league. So Dallas traded Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks to Brooklyn in exchange for Kyrie Irving and a little bit less of a known name, and might remember him as one of the Morris twins. Markieff Morris was shipped to Dallas. So what are you guys saying of that?
I think it's funny. I keep seeing stuff about like the trade, people posting it on social media, and I haven't seen Morris like as even like one of the things they're getting back. Like some people just forgot to even like show, oh yeah, they're getting this guy too. But
yeah, I don't know if he'll see any playing time or not. I mean, Dallas seems to have a significant rotation going on with Luka being the main ball handler right now, but bringing in another ball-dominant guard.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of controversy around that. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, and it just seems like any time Kyrie joins like a young team, it always seems like that team ends up falling apart or gets into some sort of trouble. It's like it's almost like Kyrie's kind of maybe a little bad juju. I don't know.
Bad mojo going on.
A thing that I've always seen is Kyrie always says at some point on a team that he wants to stay and retire here, but always leaves, even with the Celtics.
Oh man, that was a train wreck.
He was quoted like a month before leaving saying he would never leave.
Yeah, we had the Cleveland thing where he requested a trade because he wanted to lead his own team, got traded to Boston, and then Boston, he said he wanted to stay, and then that offseason, he went to Brooklyn with KD, and then I was like, oh, he's surely staying here. He's playing along with one of his best friends. And then I guess Brooklyn didn't do exactly what Kyrie wanted them to do, because I think he was looking for a contract extension, and Brooklyn wasn't willing to pay him. So I guess he was on his way out.
And maybe that has something to do still with the whole wasn't there for most of the COVID year. And I think there's some bad blood between him and upper management alone from that whole incident. And
he also requested a trade this offseason, too, which prompted Kevin Durant to request a trade this offseason. Yep. But all that came back together, and I thought everything was going good for Brooklyn, and then next thing you know, you're potentially out 2 All-Stars just before your break, and you're 12 games above 500, sitting at 4th place in the East.
Yeah. So. And it's such a weird predicament, because this is one of the years the Nets really could have probably done something in the playoffs. I mean, 2 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago, lost to the Bucks. Was that 2 or 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
Lost to the Bucks on that. But they could have been a really solid playoff team, and just seemed to fall apart.
I mean, they're 32-20 right now. I mean, you got them. They're 4th in the Eastern Conference. I mean, do you think if they get rid of KD, if that happens, they already lost Kyrie, do they even make the playoffs?
I don't see a significant team out there that could possibly trade for KD.
I think they'd make the play, and they will not. Even if they make the playoffs, I don't think they're any threat.
So with KD, are they a threat? Without KD, they're no threat.
I honestly think they can be, but it's honestly going to be all on Ben Simmons and
the trade package they get back for KD if they do trade him.
That's a good point.
Well, now they're trying to trade Spencer Dinwiddie, which they can get.
Oh, it's immediate asset flip.
Wow.
Yeah, they want to trade him right away.
They
said. But even with the team they have now, they can win. But I've heard the Suns are really trying to get Kevin Durant right now.
You see, this trade made no sense for me for Brooklyn in the sense that this is probably your best chance to compete for a title. Why do you trade away? Sure, he wanted a trade, but there was no signs that he was going to. Did he say he was going to sit out if they didn't trade him? Did any of you guys see that?
There's got to be something, bigger picture, because they have this kind of happened with like Harden. It was kind of out of nowhere with Harden.
Refuses to play.
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Well, I just couldn't see it from like a championship standpoint because they gave up all these assets and their future for Harden, lost him immediately.
Yeah.
And they had Kyrie on a big contract. So I was just thinking that why would you trade him when this is potentially your last year to truly compete for an NBA title?
Yeah, and I mean, and maybe it was behind the doors he was saying he wasn't going to play, and they didn't want to make it public because once a guy says he's willing to sit out and not play, maybe that doesn't look great when you're trying to trade him to someone else, knowing that if you're not on his good side, he's going to sit out instantly. So, right, you know. And I think the situation with them trading Kyrie, and then you go back to like them recently trading Harden too. It's like if I'm the owner of Brooklyn, and if you're, I don't know if he's hands in, hands off, but player personnel people, I mean, guys that are supposed to be making these guys happy, someone needs to be, talked to, looked at, possibly let go of because,
it's been a
losing
mess.
Harden and Kyrie like that. I mean, you brought in this team when they had KD, Kyrie, Harden, and I know they didn't ever stay. I think it was like they played 16 games together ever, and they went like 13-3. Like this, it's an experiment that would have worked if they could have ever A, stayed healthy, or B, all been playing and at the same time.
And it's a shame we really never even got to see it in action.
Yeah.
So
well, the Harden one honestly seemed just like a Kevin Durant Harden issue, like personal issue where they just weren't meshing as well as they wanted to, and
it wasn't like the OKC days.
Yeah,
that small time we had with them there.
Mm-hmm. They just
maybe without Westbrook there, they didn't. There was no mesh. Maybe he was the guy that held it all together.
But I thought the funniest part of this trade was how the Brooklyn owner decided he would not trade him to the Lakers.
Yeah, he didn't really want to give Kyrie what he wanted because I think he had that as number one option, and he did have a no trade clause too, I believe. So Dallas was on his list, but it wasn't number one. I'm pretty sure Kyrie wanted to reunite with LeBron, but
yeah.
And you see LeBron's tweet.
Yeah, I guess it must be me or something like that. Yeah.
LeBron was in his feels.
Yeah, but I mean, it would have been fun to see that reunion there.
But if I'm Brooklyn, I don't really want Westbrook back for. And I kept seeing that was a lot like the common thing, and I don't get why they would want him.
I saw a final trade package, and they were like, I think L.A. offered two future firsts, a second, a couple young guys, and like Austin Reeves and Max Christie. He's a rookie this year. He doesn't really see minutes.
That sounds more appealing to me. I guess it's a lot of draft picks. It just depends on what year we're talking about. Like even the first round, you said it was a 2029. I mean, that's quite a ways out.
Yeah, you don't know what that pick's going to be. That could be.
Yeah, on Twitter they're talking about Kyrie got traded for a 7th grader because of the 2029 pick.
Oh, true. I didn't think about that. Good point. Huh. Yes, the guy that drafted with that pick hasn't even played college ball yet. So
yeah, no.
You don't even know where he's going to college.
Hasn't even touched the court in the upper leagues.
Yeah.
But I love this trade for Dallas personally. Sure, you lost a first-round pick in 2 seconds, but in my eyes, if this Kyrie thing works, they might be front runners in the West. If it doesn't, you have 1 year Kyrie and he walks. So I think it's a good one-and-done type thing for mid-season, but at the same time, how often have we ever seen those work in the past where a team in like that mid-rebuild championship stage competes after trading for an all-star mid-season? I can't even think of one off the top of my head besides, I mean, I guess the Andrew Wiggins one, but that was the following year. That wasn't the year they traded for him, because the year they traded for Wiggins, they only won 15 games. It was the year that Steph wasn't playing.
There was a lot of more factors in play for that too, where the Warriors were all hurt, but you knew who the Warriors were. You don't really know who the Mavs are.
Yeah.
You just know Luka can do whatever he wants at will, but on a bigger scale, you don't know what they can really accomplish. So I think they might play today. I'm really interested to see.
Kyrie, I think they said Kyrie's first game is, I don't think he's playing today. I think they said his first game was going to be against the Clippers on Wednesday.
But talking about how Luka needs help, if I'm looking at ESPN and he's the team leader in every stat besides blocks. So steals, assists, rebounds, and points. He leads everybody.
And I didn't really like that they had to give up a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith because he was their primary defender. And now you're looking at Maxi Kleber probably as your primary defender, which is not ideal, but I'm sure they're not done making moves. They probably have a couple more up their sleeve, so
Yeah.
we'll see. It's going to be an interesting trade deadline for sure, because KD wants.
Simple question here at the end of the day: with Kyrie, are the Mavericks better than they were without him in this trade? Did they get better?
I believe so. Yeah,
Because I would agree.
They have more offensive firepower, but
They lost a little depth, but
yeah, it wasn't too much. Dinwiddie was their starting point guard.
They got Morris back.
Yeah, they got Markieff Morris back too, but Kyrie essentially replaces Dinwiddie.
Yep.
And then I don't know who moves up the depth chart for Finney-Smith, but Kyrie for Dinwiddie and Finney-Smith. I think Dallas won this trade. Just in my opinion, but we also don't know what that first round pick's going to be. It always comes back around to that, because I remember when Kyrie was drafted, the Clippers traded a 2011 first for Baron Davis, and that 2011 first ended up being Kyrie Irving. So you never know where that pick's going to land.
There you go. We touched on this a little bit earlier, and I'm just curious what you think, because Kyrie's usually runs point on teams. He's the point guard. He's making the plays. How does that look with Luka there?
I think they're gonna. I think Kyrie's gonna run more of a 2 role and not be the primary ball handler anymore. Or when one's not on the court, one's obviously running point, and then the other one's on the bench resting.
Another thing is Luka's on the court quite a bit.
Luka, I know he might lead the league in minutes this year. I'm not too sure when healthy anyway.
True.
But yeah, Kyrie can play off ball, on ball.
Mm-hmm.
He can score no matter how he gets it. So I think that'll be fine.
And it's huge getting an elite shooter like that around Luka, because, in my opinion, I think he's the best playmaker in the league. But
who, Luka or Kyrie?
Luka.
Okay.
Touch base on this a little bit. What teams are even targeting KD now?
I know the Suns are for sure. The Suns are trying to get Kyrie, and they were willing to give up
Chris Paul. I saw that.
Paul, Jay Crowder, and a couple picks.
Old Jay Crowder.
Yeah,
but
hasn't played at all this year.
Really?
No,
getting KD's a lot. But
yeah,
it's worth it. But
have you guys seen any potential trade packages, or what do you think they'd have to give up? Because
I've got a list of the teams people have said, and so one of them was the Warriors. But honestly,
if you're Golden State, you probably don't want to blow that up at all.
No,
I wouldn't touch it.
No.
And then the Grizzlies.
That would be interesting.
The Grizzlies. I would love that, John and KD together.
Give Jaw another superstar to work with, and KD, and potentially take off his career even further.
It says if they didn't have Danny Green on their roster, they would be the youngest team, so they have a lot of young assets they can give up. And then you have the Suns, Suns would have to give up a lot, though.
It'd probably have to be like a CP3-based package.
I think it would be CP3, Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges.
A couple first.
Yeah,
maybe even some more young players. Cause
they'd probably get back Joe. Go ahead.
Because the Suns will not give up Booker. I don't think that's something they'll.
Yeah, no, not a chance. And Phoenix would probably get back and return a Seth Curry or Joe Harris, just another shooter around.
Mm-hmm. And the 2 other teams were the Trailblazers and the Kings, which for KD.
He probably has a no trade clause, and not many people really want to go to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the Trailblazers too. Maybe, but.
I think the Blazers. Well,
they're on the outside looking in. They're not even in the playoff picture at the moment. So,
what are they? 500? Just below 500.
Just below 26, 27.
Okay.
But let's say if the King, he probably wouldn't want to go to Sacramento. But if the Kings gave up
Fox,
I don't think. Whoa. I think they would do everything but give up Fox.
I don't think you give up Fox.
I think they would give up all of their depth because they're a really depth team. That's why they're so good, is because their bench can put up a lot of points. Because they'd give up Keegan Murray, Davion Mitchell. Probably Kevin Huerter, and then some picks. So you get 3.
At that point, you got to give up 3 first-round picks. You're giving up Fox.
But then you have Fox, KD, and Sabonis as on your starting 5, and that could be pretty dangerous.
I feel like if they're giving up Fox, don't take it this wrong way, but it's Obviously, KD's better than Fox, but I feel like if you give up Fox, what are you really doing? I mean, you're getting rid of.
It's such a risk. It'd be
I'm
such a
not saying
risk.
to do it. I'm just laying the possibility. I want to do this, but
I feel like if they have KD and Fox, that's when you're like, okay, this team can be really competitive. But if you don't get both of them, I wouldn't do it.
Well, I think Sabonis is better than Fox, but
oh yeah, Sabonis
is pretty good. Pretty good.
Fox has made his way on this year, but Sabonis is just very useful.
And I feel like out of the Kings and the Trailblazers, he's definitely more likely to go to the Kings. It's just like we said, what would they give up? What are they willing to give up? Because I don't know if they're willing to part with Fox or Sabonis.
Sleeper team that you didn't list. The Clippers, fairly deep.
Yeah.
They're just not young. I think that could be the problem. And I think they have all the future. Nope, never mind. Paul George trade. I was going to say they should have all the future first, but I forgot about the Paul George trade.
I don't know. The thing is, if you're looking to trade for KD, it's going to put you in a hole for a while. It's just like the Lakers out there kind of in a hole right now.
I'm looking at the Clippers rosters. I mean, like, if they're interested in John Wall, but it's like,
no.
You know what I mean? You maybe throw him in, obviously on top of a lot of other things.
Yeah, John Wall's not really a centerpiece anymore.
One of the other Morris brothers could be on the move, too.
Yep. Marcus. All right. Well, we just talked about a couple All-Stars now. So let's talk about some All-Star snubs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you have any All-Star snubs that you want to highlight?
Yeah, we'll kick it off, which I think is, my opinion, biased as a James Harden fan, but I feel like James Harden was one of the biggest snubs not making it.
Yeah, I agree. Harden averaging around 22 and 11, I think.
Yep, exactly. A 22.1, 11 assists.
And I don't know, I was shocked to see him not make it because there's a lot of James Harden bias out there. I figured he'd get the media votes. I figured he'd get the fan votes. I figured he'd get all the coaches' respect around the league. And when that roster came out, and I saw DeMar DeRozan over James Harden, I saw Drew Holiday over Harden.
That's the one that just threw me through a loop. The Drew Holiday over James Harden to me is just,
I was more upset about the DeRozan one than the Harden one.
I feel like if you want to go from like a fan standpoint and votes like that, it's like I get that DeMar is maybe not as good as Drew, but I feel like from a name stake, I feel like DeMar is light years ahead of.
Brings you more money than Drew.
But I think Harden brings in more money than all of them. So that's one. I mean, people would go to the All-Star game to watch Harden. I mean, that's a thing. So that really surprised me.
Yeah.
And obviously, especially when Harden, I mean, he's on one of the better teams he's been on in a while right now. The Sixers are looking great. I mean, 34 and 18.
And he's completely changed his role in that team,
yeah.
too.
I mean, he's not the pure scorer. I'm going to go shoot until I get 40, 50 points. He's, averaging 11 assists.
Feed the ball to Embiid.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about Harden, Michael? Would you put him over DeRozan or either of them?
Yeah, I would put him over Drew Holiday, but I think Drew Holiday is kind of getting overlooked on his role. He plays a massive role in Milwaukee, and that's why he got there. But I think everyone is deserving to be in there. I'm not going to say you should take anyone out, but they talked about increasing the limit because obviously with his numbers, you'd think James Harden should be in there, but I don't know. Yeah, he should be in there.
Yeah. I wanted to highlight Jalen Brunson. That again might be a little biased. I'm a Knicks fan, but Brunson is averaging 21 for the Knicks. Great efficiency this year, shooting 47 from the field, 40% from three, and he has honestly just flipped this Knicks team around from last year. He primary ball handler. He's actually averaging 23 points, so even higher than I thought. He's our primary ball handler now, I think that he has outperformed Julius Randle this year. So that's the guy I was hoping to see make it, but I kind of understand why he didn't. Drew Holiday's on the best team in the league, potentially the best team in the league. He's by far a better defender than Brunson, but just kind of upset me. I was hoping for two Knicks in there. Didn't get it.
I think I want to say heavily, but I think the NBA strongly looks at the rankings of teams because I know for the MVP, if your team's not in the upper echelon, they will not even consider you to be an MVP candidate. And I think that's what it's kind of come down to for the All-Star game.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of changed over the years because you had a 6-seed Jokic and a 6-seed Russell Westbrook win MVP within a 5-year span or whatever it was. So I don't know. I think that narrative is changing, but I tend to agree with that statement. Yeah,
because I'll talk about both of my snubs, who I think deserve credit. Anthony Edwards and Trae Young both putting up around 25 points or Trae Young's 27 points.
Yeah,
with almost 10 assists.
Yeah, averaging about almost 10 assists. Also averaging almost 4 turnovers, but
yeah, but both of them in 7th place, or Hawks are in 8th place, and I think that's just kind of the reason why they didn't make it. It's just they're getting overlooked by the better teams.
You see, I would take a guy like Anthony Edwards over Jaren Jackson, based on the fact that Jaren Jackson, I believe I don't even think he's played 30 games this year, if I'm not mistaken.
I feel like if you're looking at like why AD didn't make it,
correct,
then I feel like you have the same argument there why he shouldn't have made it.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson's actually played 36 games, so he's played more than I thought. But at the same time, almost 60 games have been played at this point in the season, so that's almost half the games. I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I agree.
And sure, he's averaging 3.5 blocks a game. He leads the league. But he's going to make an all-defensive team. But
that's what they want. They want him just to get a nice block in the All-Star game.
Yep. Also, have you guys seen that rumor of like the Grizzlies scorekeeper stat padding his block numbers? No. Maybe it's just me.
That's hilarious.
Yep, my side of Twitter.
He scratched the ball. I think that was
But yeah, did you have another one, Cade?
Yeah, my other one was Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
Who, in my opinion, I just think a lot of people like him. Very likable guy. He's having a great year. The Heat are 6th right now in the East, and I think that's a lot because of him. And I think one of the things he does that he's one of the best at in the NBA is not turning the ball over. He's a great ball handler. He's smart with the ball. He doesn't make he's great at making passes, reading the court. And I mean, for an All-Star game, when there's probably going to be some sloppy basketball at times, maybe you want a guy who's not
that's a guarantee.
Who's not going to turn the ball over and be sloppy with it, regardless of the circumstances.
And that'll kind of bring me back to the Drew Holiday conversation. He has a very Drew Holiday type role. They're both not like major scorers for their teams, but they are top tier defenders. Everybody loves them on their team.
Yep. And I think we're running into like what Michael was saying earlier. Do they expand the rosters and let more guys in? And I mean, I think when you have guys like Jimmy Butler and James Harden and Trae Young too, because Trae Young, I mean, we're talking about the Harden effect. Trae Young has the same effect. A lot of fans, you know what I mean? A lot of like kids, a lot of young kids love Trae Young. He's young in the league, so I think when younger kids that go to they want to see Trae Young. I mean, that's pretty common. So I think you're missing opportunities when you don't let these guys in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's got to be a middle ground where, like, the All-Star game, like, it's obviously not very important. Let's just be honest about that. But it needs to become, like, a popularity contest, but also a deserving contest, because I think that'll bring more attention to it, because nobody's going to be like...
And maybe that's what you do when you expand it. There's a part of it that these guys got in based off of popularity votes. It's not just the starting lineups, you know what I mean? They let these guys in off popularity votes, and these guys got in off coach and player votes. Like maybe they split it in somehow, so more guys like Harden and Trae get in, but you're still getting guys that deserve it just because of their play. And maybe they're not a household name yet, but that's not really their fault in some circumstances.
Yeah. And for me, my biggest snub this season was Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
Because as a Knicks fan, I think he's outplayed Julius Randle this year. I don't like saying that because he's on a rival team in Toronto, but
when you're biased and you say that, there's definitely something. There's definitely probably something there, and you're not lying to us. So
yeah, but the Raptors have not been performing particularly well. I think they are 25 and 30 right now, so they're 5 games below 500. But I mean, that's not out of the playoff race at all.
No,
especially with 10 teams making it now, and he's leading the team in points, I believe rebounds.
Yeah, he's averaging almost 27 points a game. He's averaging almost 7 assists per game. And I think the craziest thing when you look at him is that he's almost shooting 50% from the field.
Yeah.
So
He leads the points and leads the team in points, rebounds. He's second in assists. Averages almost a steal a game. And then his block numbers, well, he's never been an efficient blocker, but just half a block a game, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's shooting 50% from the field, 30% or 45% from the field, 30% from three, and it's just probably his best season since Kawhi left. I mean, last year was pretty good, but I think he's changed his role this year, which is why he's not as efficient, but...
Yeah. I don't know. Were you going to say something? I don't know. I don't really have much to say on that, but I do have something to talk about for the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a whole nother subject if you have something else to say about this.
No, I don't have anything
I mean,
else
just
to add.
like they're telling these snubs. I mean, I think when you go down the list, most of these guys deserve to be there, and maybe that's where we look at expanding. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of one thing
Yeah, and
you realize when guys like this are missing it.
and it doesn't really hurt, except they can just add like that flawed on a resume, like
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is what I was going to talk about. So I was looking at the Rising Stars roster, how we were going to talk about that.
Okay.
So what they're doing for the Rising Stars is there's 21 NBA players and 7 G League players. And they're going to get
G League.
drafted into 4 teams. And then I think it's like a bracket style.
Oh.
Best team plays each other. So there's like, let me see what it says. It says there's 2 semifinal matchups to 40 points and a championship game to 25 points. So that would be something cool that the NBA, just for the All-Star game, could do. You add in more players, and then there's a draft. We'll say the top 4 people get to be captains, and you draft your team. So that's something they could do if they wanted to increase the limit.
So is that going to be like how many players did you say were going to make it?
28 total with 7 G League players.
Okay, so that would add. Currently, there's 24 NBA players that make the All-Star roster, or it's 24, 26. So that's adding 4 to 2 more spots. Should those just be wild cards from the East and the West then?
Yeah, probably. I would say so.
Okay.
Or you could do the most deserving, but that would make every team has 7, and then match up a game to 40, which would be. I think that would be really entertaining.
When you expand it and you do something like that, I mean, I think that'd be entertaining too to do it. But there's always going to be guys that are left out still.
Yeah.
They're always going to be like this guy. There's always going to be snubs. There's always going to, especially when you start going to the most deserving. A lot of teammates are probably going to feel like, well, this guy works his butt off. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He deserves it. So I mean,
Yeah.
But I definitely think that'd be interesting. I think you'd have to expand the score. Would you say the championship is the first to 25 points?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. So I'd maybe.
You're also playing how many games? Is it a round robin thing, or is it just?
Or is it just 2?
Straight up bracket.
So it says 4 teams in 3 games. So I don't know how that would work.
How's one? Maybe the losers probably play each other.
Probably,
That's probably how you get 3. Winners
Maybe-
go on a
maybe
championship,
double-
losers go.
or it could be double elimination.
That
too.
is one of
True.
the right things the NBA did was, I don't know the year, but when they changed the All-Star game to a score limit.
Yeah, it was
you
your
had,
Kobe passed away.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
you're right.
one of the most entertaining All-Star games coming down to the
in a
end.
long time.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to watch the Rising Stars game now because that honestly sounds really fun.
What was the score to the first game? Did you say 50?
40.
So it's 40 and 25. Yeah.
Damn, I figured
If
the
that
score would-
works, I think. What do you do it for the All Star game if they want to do something like that? How would you break that down?
I would do the same thing.
You would just
Maybe even a lower score because
Honestly, I'm surprised the first round's not 25 and the second round's 40.
yeah,
That's what I would think too. If you're going to flip flop them at least, make the
Uh-huh.
championship more points.
Yeah, that's weird, huh? Weird concept.
I wonder if that means the losers game is also to 40 points. Probably.
I don't know, but I could walk through the rosters if you want of the Rising Stars.
I want to hear some of the G League players.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I'll just read everybody's name off. So you got Jose Alvarado from the Pelicans. I didn't know he was eligible for the Rising Stars. Is it only
He was one of those. I think he was one of those guys that was drafted and stayed overseas for a little bit. So he's like an older.
To me, Jose
second-year
Alvarado
player.
is a relief pitcher. So
Also a point guard for the Pelicans.
Yeah.
who tries to sneak up behind you and steal the ball. You have Paulo Banchero, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, AJ Griffin, Walker Kessler, Jabari Smith Jr., Benedict Mathurin, Keegan Murray, Andrew Nemhard, Jeremy Sohan. Do you know who Jeremy Sohan is? He's,
Polish guy from Baylor.
yeah, and he couldn't shoot a free throw with 2 hands, so they switched him to 1 hand. I think he's almost doubled his free throw percent.
one
doing
hand.
that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jalen Williams from the Thunder, Scotty Barnes, Josh Giddey. I'm surprised Josh Giddey's in here because
Why is that?
I feel like he's already kind of an established person.
That's like Luka and Trey. We were talking about that before the show. Luka and Trey Young, both of them were somewhat established. That was their second year in the league too, I think.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Giddey's kind of better than the rest of these people already. But then you have Jalen Green, Quentin Grimes from the Knicks,
Yeah, my boy.
Bones Highland, Evan Mobley, Trey Murphy III, and Alperen Sengun. But the G League players are Scoot Henderson, who, what's he projected to go second?
Yeah, he's right behind Wembanyama. They said that the analytics have said like he would go number 1 overall if it's any other year, but he just happened to be in the same class as Wembanyama.
I don't know how to say this name. I'll try. Sidi Kisoko,
I have no idea who that is.
Mojav King, Kenneth Lofton Jr., Leonard Miller, Mac McClung, and Scottie Pippen Jr.
Oh, Scottie Pippen Jr. That's fun.
And I think...
And so was Mac McClung, too.
I think Kenneth Lofton Jr. is the son of Kenny Lofton.
He was...
MLB player.
I don't know if you guys watched any Summer League basketball. He was the guy that made all the big plays for the Grizzlies this year. Super small, stocky center.
Yeah, he was known. He was kind of, I want to say a meme, but he was known just because of his
performance.
Build.
Build and performance in the Summer League. All right, we got to move on here. Love talking about the All-Star snubs, though. We have, it seems to be the turn of an era in the NFL for quarterbacks as the pick 199 from the 2000 draft retired. Yeah. So sad. As a Patriots fan, I was heartbroken.
Who's that again? The name's not coming to me.
Tom Brady.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That
Who's
guy.
That?
Yeah.
Just a 7-time Super Bowl champion.
Just one of the most winning quarterbacks of all time.
Yep.
Holds about every stat. Yeah, that guy.
As a Patriots fan, it's kind of sad he didn't want to retire a Patriot, but hey.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes and signs one of those
It's just
one-day contracts in a year or something. I don't know.
He's already. I don't even think he's had a press conference yet, has he?
He said he wasn't going to. He said he did the long, drawn-out thing last year. So
that's right.
Keeping it short and sweet this year.
Yeah, so. I've had my letter.
Okay. I don't know if you guys saw this. Just a side note on the whole retiring. Did you guys see that someone went and scooped up the sand from where he was sitting?
Where he's sitting, yeah. I think that's the first video I saw whenever I got on TikTok this morning. Yeah. It's like Tom Brady was sitting right here.
Sitting right here. You can still see his imprint in the sand.
But don't quote me on this. Someone I think said this in one of my classes, but Tom Brady wanted $1 million to come back and retire as a Patriot.
We were talking about that in one of our copy. I think it was copy.
Yeah,
well, when you get divorced and you lose some money, so there you go. So I don't blame him. I'd want it too.
Yeah, but so is this? I mean, it's not. Is this? This is like almost the official end of an era. Like,
yeah, definitely for me at least, I feel like the quarterbacks of my childhood, I mean, are all kind of at this point hung them up. You got like Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Eli Manning, Big Ben, now Brady, Peyton, obviously, yeah. And then it's like it's not really very many guys left. You got Rodgers, who's definitely one of them. I would say Matt Ryan, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan calls it quits during this offseason.
Yeah, I hate that he didn't get a ring, but I mean,
do you hate that he didn't get a ring?
I mean, it happened against New England, and I'm a New England fan. But I mean, he was always one of those guys that I rooted for because I just liked his play style and everything.
Yeah.
So,
Matty Ice.
Yep, it's about him and really Rodgers and I guess in a way Matt Stafford. If you want to,
yeah, I'll throw Stafford in there. He kind of gets forgot because he just kind of was lost there.
It's 2008. He's got in that middle of the pack. Yeah. Maybe 2009, actually, because I think Matt Ryan was drafted.
Stafford definitely didn't have, out of those guys, one of the most memorable careers, and I think it's just because of the team he was on for so long. Detroit doesn't get a lot of limelight.
Yeah. I mean, he got a ring in L.A., so at least he did that before.
I'm happy for him. That was awesome last year. I mean, they definitely it showed this year how they kind of really just dumped everything into that year, and it really kind of reflected this season with, I mean, granted, you had a lot of injuries, but
yeah,
they were not a shell of the team they were the year before.
Yeah. And now you have young quarterbacks like Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, just the obvious ones. Trevor Lawrence,
yeah,
Justin Herbert.
There was something about how if Rodgers, this isn't about young coaches. If Rodgers gets moved in the offseason and goes to the AFC, it's like, who's the best quarterback in the NFC?
Gotta be Hurts.
Hurts.
Oh, yeah.
Who's your second best quarterback? Because that's when you're like, wow, the AFC is so superior when it comes to quarterbacks.
Kirk Cousins, maybe?
Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott. I don't know.
Kirk, Dak, they're in the same boat.
I don't know. I would
It's,
need to look
But
at a.
I wouldn't put those
list.
over like the top. Any of those over the
potentially
top five
Kyler,
in the-
I guess. I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
You never
I'll
know.
be interested to see with what new coach they get in there and see how that goes.
I've heard they're leaning Brian Flores.
I think that's a great
love
hire.
to see Brian Flores
Yeah.
get another job. I thought he did a fantastic job in Miami, but
Yep.
it was the whole Tua thing. He didn't.
Yep.
He didn't want Tua. He wanted Herbert, and
And I mean,
the GM's like, yeah, can't.
call me crazy, but I think actually Herbert is more talented than Tua. So I don't think Brian Flores was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Tua actually played pretty well this past season when he did play, but
Yeah, I also think when you look, I mean, they both have weapons around them. So
no,
But on a serious note about Tua is, can Tua even really play anymore?
it's scary. It's
I don't know.
scary. I don't.
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
A lot of concussions really fast. I mean, doctors, of course, are telling them to retire, but I feel like that's a really common thing. I think a lot of doctors think if you get 1 or 2 concussions, most doctors don't think you should keep playing. So.
And we're talking about the multiple concussions. Do you guys watch Mizzou football?
Oh yeah,
Okay, so Caleb Evans.
yeah,
He had 3 concussions this year, and that just wasn't talked about as much.
really,
Yeah, because I was reading about it, and I was like, maybe it's just because Tua's a quarterback, and he just gets
Yeah.
more light shined on him just because he's the quarterback. But
Well, you got to think about it's just because it's the quarterback. Because
Oh,
how many do you
definitely.
think?
Well, and it's the
Rob
way he went
Gronkowski's
down
had?
too.
Oh yeah.
Gronk, I can recall at least three or four, but I don't think they're all in the same season though.
Yeah, it's
I think a lot of times a guy gets a concussion, and it will be like think about like the Johnson thing, where he technically got put in concussion protocol because he banged his head, and the guy upstairs saw it, and the Niners.
Josh Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Johnson, I mean, he went down, hopped back up, and was ready to go for the next play, and he had to get told upstairs, "You're done." Where 2 went down, it was like he almost paralyzed.
yeah.
Sometimes you were like, "What just happened?"
Not the Green Bay one. The Green Bay one was weird.
Yeah. Is that there was the one where he was instantly on the field, and there was the one where he got up and collapsed back down. Was that the Green Bay one, or was that the?
No, that was the. I don't remember who that game was against, but yes. So his third concussion was against Green Bay. That was the one where Green Bay was hot and they were playing Miami, and Miami dominated the first half. Tua got that concussion, and then I believe his second half was just absolutely terrible.
So they didn't pull him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the whole story behind that was, but he bounced back, hit us on the ground, obviously, and concussion.
I think one thing's for sure, regardless of what the Tua thing is, I think the Dolphins need to go get a solid backup quarterback just in case of anything here.
Oh, you have to now. You brought this up earlier about potentially if Aaron Rodgers leaves, where do you guys think he would go if he were to get traded?
I mean,
people say the Raiders, but I
Yeah.
think that would be a bold move
I
of
just-
him in his late years to go and fight. And I think it'll be really hard for him to win that with the Chargers and the Chiefs in there.
it's like you got the Chargers and the Chiefs, and Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers. As much success as they had in Green Bay, they never really won it. You know, and I think the Green Bay defenses they had there with Devontae and Aaron Rodgers are way better than the Raiders defense currently.
Raiders have more problems than quarterback.
Yes, and I don't think this solves anything. And I think if I'm Rodgers, it's like, I guess go spend your last couple of years with Devontae, but I don't think you're going to win anything. I think you'll be lucky to come in second place and beat the Chargers out in the division. I really do. And, of course, I'm biased towards the Chiefs, but I feel like as long as Mahomes and Andy Reid are there, that number one spot is theirs to lose. I mean,
It's always every year someone wants to say they're going to finish over the Chiefs, but you can't
100%.
bet against the Chiefs because they've never proven to not produce.
100%. I mean, I even saw things in the preseason. It was like the Broncos were going to be second in the division. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just laughing. And I like that people had the Chargers, Broncos, then Chiefs. And I was like, if you guys not been paying attention, we've hosted 4 AFC Championship games in a row. And you think we're going to come in third in the division? But
to Rodgers, I think he would fit well in San Francisco, but
according
he
to him, he's
said
not
he
going, which would totally make sense if he did go. So
I don't. It's because of the whole draft thing, right? Is why he won't go.
Oh, more than likely, yeah.
elaborate.
The passing up on him.
Oh,
Between him and Alex Smith, and his stock absolutely plummeted because there's nobody that wanted or needed a quarterback at that time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're holding grudges like that, which Rodgers would, so I guess, but that's a long time ago.
Honestly,
half the people that were in the room that made the decision to draft him are probably not even there anymore. So
honestly, like, why wouldn't a team with a bunch of cap space, like the Giants or the Jets, who are potentially a quarterback away, not just swing for the fences?
I would lean. I don't know. It's a tough one to say they're both a quarterback away. I think they both have a couple more problems than that, but I feel like they're closer. The Jets or the Giants are closer than the Raiders. I would say that for sure.
Because they have more defense.
More defense, especially the Jets. I mean, the Jets have a solid defense, and they're young. I mean,
I just think the problem is every team that I'm kind of looking at besides the Niners is going to be kind of a 2 to 3 year process.
And Rodgers is not.
I don't know if he has that.
He's
so
not there for that.
Another team, I also think, and call me crazy, but if the Tua thing gets any more severe, maybe Miami. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I think that's an enticing place for someone when you're getting ready to retire too. Let's head down to Miami.
Talent.
Yeah,
yeah.
Go there, throw to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle for a while, and Gesicki, and hand the ball off to.
No, well, Gesicki may not be there much longer.
True,
he's a free agent.
I'd be surprised if they let him go. That'd be a tough one, but maybe.
They apparently I've read recently they don't want to bring him back. Contract negotiations have kind of stalled because he played on a franchise tag this year, and he really didn't do much.
There's definitely going to be some interesting free agents too. We could probably spend a whole show on that, so I won't go too deep into it.
Yeah, for sure. Back to the Raiders thing though. You got to figure out your Derek Carr situation if you're going to trade for Rodgers though.
Yeah, for sure, and they still owe him a lot of money. Thankfully for them, he didn't get injured in the Pro Bowl, which if I'm him, I don't know if I would have not faked one. So
risky business.
Yeah, I thought it was funny the whole him wearing the NFL logo hat. That was pretty good.
I didn't even see that.
Yep, everyone's wearing their team hats, and he was wearing an NFL logo. He doesn't. He's a free agent. Not really. He's still there. I mean, they're obviously going to move on from him at this point.
Yeah, whether it be a cut or a
where to, what for, and if not anything, if they cut him.
Yeah. And I just can't see anybody trading for him because I don't think anybody's going to want to pay that salary.
It would have to be a trade, and it's happened before where they know he's going to open up contract negotiations and restructuring as soon as he gets there. And he's totally willing to take less money and stuff like that. I mean, and if you can get the team on board with that, I mean, it'll be way easier to move him. But he has to verbally tell them, like, yeah, I'm willing to take way less money and renegotiate a contract.
I wouldn't hate him going to San Francisco.
Yeah.
I don't think San Francisco needs. I don't think San Francisco needs a quarterback. I think Brock Purdy's going to be out for a while, but you still have Trey Lance and Purdy.
I don't think they need one, but it would not hurt to get one.
If I'm the Niners,
I think he'd be the backup there, just like another Jimmy G type thing.
Yeah, if I'm the Niners, going with Purdy, going with Lance, you got two good quarterbacks, regardless of who's healthy, who plays. This is a fluke year. You don't need to have 4 quarterbacks. This doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And honestly, since it happened to him this year, I would not be surprised if both of them are healthy all of next year. This is really strange to have 4 quarterbacks injured in the NFC Championship game at that point, or not injured in that game, but all be out.
But to be honest, you don't really know how good Trey Lance is. We didn't get that.
That's fair.
No, but from a pride standpoint, general managers aren't going to be willing to move on from a second-round draft pick who's only played 2 games. That's just not going to happen.
And that's why I think that Derek Carr would be better as a backup there, just based off the fact that, like, he would have that Jimmy G role in which, in case that, like this year, when Lance went down, Jimmy G stepped up and looked like the best quarterback on that roster.
Yeah.
When he played.
My favorite spot for Derek Carr to go to, and I think the team where he could be really successful. And Derek Carr isn't as old as Aaron Rodgers. He's got more years to let this thing roll out. I'd like him on the Jets. I think Derek Carr to the Jets makes a lot of sense. I think that's a team that with a quarterback does make the playoffs. I don't know if they do anything in the playoffs, but with Derek Carr, I think he's the guy to definitely take them to the playoffs. With that young defense, you're getting back Hall, who's going to be healthy and ready to go. Hopefully he's not going to have like a bad year coming off of a pretty severe injury. So, But I mean, they have great weapons there. I'd really like to see him go to the Jets, and I think he could be successful there too.
Yeah. I've also seen a lot of Saints talk.
Yeah.
I don't really like that one just because their financial situation.
Yeah, man.
If they had more cap space to work with and everything, I'd be okay with it for a 1 to 2 year thing.
Yep.
As a bridge quarterback, but I'm not on the Saints.
I think the Saints draft a quarterback. I think they got 2 first-round draft picks now.
They only have one. They didn't have their own, and they traded.
So they got one for.
Oh yeah, Sean Payton. I was like, where'd they get that?
They got it from Sean Payton, and I think that's I'm trying to remember. That was the Dolphins draft pick, so it's somewhere in the 20s. So maybe you get a guy like
That's not the Dolphins pick. It's actually it's Denver's
pick.
Oh yeah, Denver got it from Miami, who got it from San Fran.
Yeah, so it's San Fran's pick.
It's San Fran's. Oh man, that's late.
It's a late pick. So I don't know even what quarterbacks you're sitting there. Maybe you use that in a second. You try to trade up, make a move, but I think you want to try to get a quarterback on a rookie contract. They're so messed up financially, they need to
or just have a rebuilding year. Honestly,
yeah. And hopefully do they have next year? Do they have their own pick? I don't know about that.
They should, I believe.
Because they could run out there with this roster, and I think they'd do just fine in getting a top draft pick if they don't make too many moves. As a Chiefs fan, I hate to see that Tyrann Mathieu there, and I think the Saints right now are kind of just a sinking ship. So
yeah,
I wish he would have not left, but
yep.
I think the Chiefs made a good move in moving on from him and getting younger with Justin Reed. But still, I like Tyrann Mathieu. I don't like that he's spending the last couple of years of his career possibly on the Saints. It's no fun.
So Derek Carr made Pro Bowl.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah.
Quotations.
As he said, he thought
asterisk.
Yeah.
As Derek Carr said, he's like, "Is this an old one? Did this not get shipped from last year or something?
Yeah,
I'm going to the Pro Bowl."
Did you guys watch the Pro Bowl at all?
It was NASCAR this weekend. That was my weekend was all NASCAR. I caught some of the games and stuff, especially like watching reruns on YouTube. But really,
yeah, I didn't watch it either, but from what I've read and everything, it wasn't great. I thought it was a fun idea with all the challenges they did. Yeah. Michael, I'll ask you this: what do you do if you're the NFL? Because you're probably not making much money off of it, and it's not nobody watches it. It seems like.
Well, the NBA was in the same problem, but they made the right choices, where they made the game a limit. And then it was boring the first 3 quarters of the NBA, but then that fourth quarter was like, whoa, edge of your seat, like who's going to win? NFL needs to do something like that because they tried to do it on Madden once, and that was, I mean, I didn't even.
They had a Madden thing?
Well, that was because of COVID, though, right? I don't think that was a permanent move.
But, I mean, still, but I was not
trying to
do
watch anything.
Madden, and then the flag football on paper look like a good idea, but then when you're there, they're not going to really want to try like that hard for all this.
Yeah, and my thing with that is like the O linemen, they got the votes, they don't play anything.
I know they had the center out there. I mean, just to snap the ball, but then and if you watch some clips too, and you have the one pass rusher, but it's like the center snaps it, the pass rusher's on his left, he just runs right by him. The guy just stands there. Yeah. So. That's kind of silly.
All I could think of is maybe there's like there's not even, because not even every team gets in. I was going to say you could maybe do like a team thing, or maybe like a conference or division.
I think a division idea would be interesting, but like you said, not every team makes it. So like it's like a little bracket or something. I have no idea.
And then let's say it was like, if it was divisions, and looking at the AFC West, you don't even get any of the Chiefs players. And
maybe they could do a thing, kind of like we were talking about the Rising Stars game, where you break them down into smaller flag football teams. Maybe not you know what I mean? Maybe you're doing like 4-on-4 or something like that, or 6v6, and you break it into like maybe 4 or 5 teams or something like that, and you do a draft. Mm-hmm. And those guys draft their players for their team, and they kind of just do like a round robin type thing and multiple games. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I think, like I said, we were talking before the show, I just think when it's a contact sport and no one wants to get hit when there's really no reason to, it's hard to make it entertaining.
Yeah. But, like, the thing is that nobody wants to playing it. By the end of the season, everyone's getting their surgeries that they held off for.
Like Josh Allen, not there.
Justin Herbert.
Yeah,
like they went down to Tyler Huntley. Like no diss to the guy, but he played 5 games, I think.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
So it's just I don't know. Trevor Lawrence, he deserved it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm happy that Trevor Lawrence made it.
And then Carr was surprised he was even there. It's just
the AFC definitely had some problems, especially when the AFC we're talking about how talented the quarterbacks are in the AFC, and not one of those guys besides Trevor Lawrence made it. So,
yeah,
of course, Mahomes is in the Super Bowl, but then, I mean, the fact that they're not there shows something. And like Joe Burrow not going there too,
he just opted out.
Yeah,
he didn't want to play.
And Joe Burrow is one of the young faces of the entire NFL. So, you got to somehow not even make it appealing to the fans too. They're failing to make it appealing to their own players, and I think that's a pretty big problem too. So
yeah, and I liked the idea of the skills competition, which they've had that in the past.
Yeah,
but it wasn't as advertised in the past as it was this year.
Yeah. And like we kind of talked before the show, and I really think that they would key in on maybe just like 2 or 3 and make those really big events, and maybe even make them longer. Like we talked about, the NBA has the dunk contest and the 3-point contest, and those draw in a lot of views.
The
a lot
Rising
of
Stars game.
Yeah. They need to really focus in on those. And I think they're going in the right direction. They just need to really key on some of the big ones and make it a fan focus.
I think a Rising Stars game for the NFL would be
Yeah.
interesting.
The thing is in the NBA, it's a staple. When you think All-Star Week, you think dunk, 3-point contest,
Yeah.
Rising
Yes.
Stars.
How does the NFL make these things staples?
NFL, you're like, what are they doing this year?
That's
they
the
got
thing.
to staple
Yep,
it
100%.
and make it a
100%.
known thing.
Yeah, which I think they're going the right direction, but
Yeah, I think the flag football thing, like we said, it's not. But maybe that's more appealing to the players if they know that there's not even a chance to get hurt. Of course, someone did get hurt, so
Myles Garrett
yeah.
dislocated his toe. Yeah,
So I don't even know about that.
I mean, that's not super serious, but still,
yeah.
you're out playing a sport. There's always a chance you
Myles,
can get hurt. I guess.
if Myles
so.
Garrett gets hurt mid-season next year with a broken toe, it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, what do you? NFL can't win for losing on that one.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I have no idea. And I like the idea that they've moved it every year now, so that gives fans like us who probably won't
Yeah.
get.
Well, when it was in Hawaii every year, I don't know
Yeah,
about you, but
it's
I wasn't
like
going to go to
that's so-
Hawaii.
Yeah,
Cool for the players, not cool for me.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like it gives fans like us who are in Missouri, and like there's not much around us, and not much is going to happen at Arrowhead. Sorry, but we're an outdoor stadium.
Not
so-
in February. Yeah.
Not in February. No.
You never know. You could get a ton of snow, and yeah, that'd just ruin everything. Same reason we'll probably never see the Super Bowl too. So
Yeah. Got the draft.
yeah, that's pretty neat. We'll have to talk about that more as
Yeah.
it gets closer.
Yep. And about 8 minutes left. I know we did it last week, but the Super Bowl obviously this week, kind of a big deal.
Got to talk about it a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost only one of the biggest games in all of sports. So.
Yeah. So with a little bit of time left, last week I said Philly. None of us were really committed to our picks. We had a week left. Everybody was injured. Had no idea who was playing, who wasn't or who was and wasn't playing. So none of us were really committed to our picks. Where are you guys leaning today?
I'm leaning Chiefs, but I think it's I think the Eagles have the best roster, or one of the best, in that they kind of match up very well against us. But I just think that the fact that Mahomes has been there and Jalen Hurts hasn't is going to be the difference, and that's what and they have not played really any good quarterbacks this whole year. I saw a list, and Dak Prescott once was the best quarterback they played in recent. Because when you think about it, I'll try to pull it up if you guys talk about it, but they have not played really any good quarterbacks in a while.
Yeah. And it would have been potentially Brock Purdy, but
So I am definitely going Chiefs at this point.
are you locked in?
Yeah. I think, like Michael touched on, experience is a huge thing. I think when you look at the Belichick and Brady, I think they won so many together because they've done it so many times. This is their third Super Bowl. They've had 5 AFC Championship games. They're getting used to playing in these big games together. They know how to act with each other. And I think that's a big deal. And I think in the Super Bowl, usually the quarterback that performs better wins the game. It just, if you really want to break it down. So I think Mahomes will outperform Jalen Hurts. I think this is Jalen Hurts' first Super Bowl. They just had the big NFC Championship game. It's a lot for the Eagles. I really do think. And this is Andy Reid's get-back game, I feel like. I mean, people forget about it. I mean, he got fired from Philadelphia.
That's really not a major headline coming to this.
No.
I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, and I think this is because there's a lot of mutual respect between the teams, and I think Andy Reid loves Philadelphia. But I mean, they did him pretty dirty with how he left. They fired him. They let him go. They had a bad season, but he'd been really successful there. Never won the Super Bowl. Was their all-time winningest coach? I think pretty sure he still is. So, and they fired that guy. You don't usually just fire your all-time most winning coach. So I think this is definitely almost a revenge game for Andy Reid. It's time for him to let the Philadelphia, you guys let me go. It's time for me to get a Super Bowl on you guys. I think this is a personal game with Andy Reid, and I think the players know he wants this one bad. So I think the Chiefs are going to really step up with the experience and the players, Mahomes, Reed, and I think they get it done.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's kind of like it's giving me really big Cincinnati vibes because I rode with Cincinnati for all week, and then when we finally got to the game, I was like, it's Kansas City's probably going to pull this one out. So last week I said Philly, and I'm leaning more toward Kansas City this week. But you guys hit on it. Experience, it's going to be huge. Only two of the Chiefs O-linemen have been there, in Wiley and Tooney.
Yeah.
But that defense, not much on that defense. If you really look at it, not much on your Doll's defense besides Tyrann Mathieu has really changed since the last time you guys made a Super Bowl appearance.
Plus the rookies we drafted, but yeah.
And, yeah, Watson and Cook. Or who else? Was Snead on that team?
Watson,
Karlaftis, yeah.
Cook. I'm trying to think who else.
But Chris Jones, Frank Clark,
yeah, they've
you
been
know
there,
what I'm
done
saying.
that.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, Dunlap hasn't, but that's just a veteran, so I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think the moment's going to be too big for Dunlap. I think he'll be able to settle in. L'Jarius Sneed, yeah, he was there.
That was his
last
rookie
time.
season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the Buccaneers one.
Yeah.
So
But again, he's played.
yeah,
He was on the team.
Thornhill he's.
Thornhill was there.
I think he's been both. So
Yeah. It's just
the experience on the Chiefs is way ahead. I mean, they still. I'm trying to think. I mean, Brandon Graham,
Fletcher Cox,
Fletcher Cox.
the whole O-line, basically.
Yeah, at least. Yeah, definitely Jason. Yeah,
Samalo, Mailata. They were all there, but
Lane
Johnson, yeah. Basically the whole line. But it's the inexperience at the other positions, and
I think the most important position with the inexperience is quarterback. So
most definitely. Well, so we're all three leaning Kansas City right now.
Yep.
I'm going Kansas City, and I'm not going to change at this point.
Philly's still favored. I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that, just like you touched on, they might have the more complete and the better roster at the end of the day. I mean, from top to bottom, Philadelphia probably has more talent throughout their roster.
But that doesn't always tell the story.
Definitely not.
2007 Patriots still hurts me this day.
Yeah. I saw something on that recently, yeah. Peyton.
It was the anniversary the other day.
I'm pretty sure Tom Brady, they were talking about how it probably was the loss that hurt the most. Like, out of all of his losses in his entire career, that one was
because nobody had ever done it.
Yeah, that was the one that really just cut deep. And the competitor inside of Tom Brady wanted that one.
Yeah.
But he showed respect to Eli and the Giants. And the weird thing is, I guess I didn't realize until recently, and I think I kind of remembered the story, but the Patriots had just played the Giants in the last week of the season that year and beat them.
It was second to last week of the season.
And they beat them.
Yep.
And then come back, you play them in, 3 or 4 weeks, and they lose. So.
Yep. Always struggle against them. Don't know what it is. All right.
Eli Manning effect is what it was.
Two quick things before we go, and that
Okay.
it's NBA talk. We went to the NFL, so I just kind of held off on it.
Okay.
While we were talking, news came out that Kyrie Irving said he would have declined even a max deal from the Nets, so he had no thought of even coming back.
That guy is that doesn't even make sense to me.
Unpredictable.
He is unpredictable. I mean, I think he doesn't even know what he wants from one day to the next.
And then obviously, tomorrow LeBron can break the all-time scoring record.
Yeah, tickets for
Correct.
that. Have you seen the tickets for that game? Good night.
$100,000
Yeah.
someone paid for it.
They're getting ridiculous.
Who do they play?
The Thunder,
That's right.
but it's in LA. So that's
okay.
why.
At
Well-
the cryptocurrency.
He needs like 37-ish.
37. Yeah.
37.
Possible.
Well, we will have to keep in touch with that one.
Yeah, we'll have to follow that. They might feed him. I don't know. We'll see.
They might. Well, we'll keep in touch, and that might be a topic of next week's show, depending on if he doesn't.
a big
He
deal.
more than likely does it. Does that make LeBron the GOAT at that point? We'll
No.
talk about it next week. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been the first quarter with Gage Kaler, Cade Ricketts, and Michael Bosch.